Hey y'all, Dixie here. Today I want to talk to you about how I packed my pack during my PCT through hike. Now, if you're like I was before my first backpacking trip, I had all of my stuff laid out, all of my gear just strode everywhere, and I was looking at my pack going, how in the world is all of this stuff gonna fit into that pack? So I did a little research, got online, and tried to figure out if there was more or less a proper way to actually pack your pack and put all your stuff in there. Like anything in the backpacking world, there were several opinions. A lot of different sources said your sleeping bag should go at the bottom, and then some kind of like medium weight stuff, and then maybe the heavy stuff the closest to your back with some other stuff squished in, and then, you know, light stuff on the top. And then there were some sources that said, well, maybe that's true, but it depends on if you have an internal or external frame, which most people nowadays use internal. Then I even saw a source that said, well, it kind of depends on terrain that you're going to be on. And there was a source that even stressed that, you know, maximizing your space was the best idea, even if that means shoving a shirt into your food pot. Anyway, I'm not saying that there isn't some logic behind these different sources of information, or maybe even science, but I'm just saying that once you figure out your hiking style, you know, whether you like to have all your snacks out during the day in easy to reach pockets and you want to put your food bag closer to the bottom because you don't really use it that much, or, you know, whether you're going to bury electronics because you're not really using your phone that much, or backup battery chargers. Whenever you figure out your hiking style, then you'll know what works for you. So today I'm not sharing what you should do and how you should pack your pack, because everybody's gear is different and everyone's hiking style is different. I'm just letting you know what worked for me best on the PCT. So first, I lined my pack with a trash compactor bag that's like 3 mil. It's a thick bag that I put down in my pack. And yes, the pack that I have is highly water resistant, and the Hyperlight Mountain Gear pack that I used for the first half of the PCT claimed to be waterproof. Regardless, I like redundancies in my waterproofing, so inside that pack I put the compactor bag. Now, if you're carrying a pack that is not waterproof or water resistant, just want to let you know that you do want to have some of these waterproofing redundancies, because if you're relying on a rain cover for your pack, I have not found those to actually keep water off your pack. It might help a little bit to keep your pack from getting soaked, you know, just like saturated with water, so you're not carrying all of that extra water weight. But I have not found that a rain cover alone actually keeps all of the water out of your pack and keeps it dry. Just so you know. Then I shove my sleeping bag down inside loose. I don't put it in a stuff sack because I like to maximize the space. I like to make sure that that sleeping bag is in there good and flat and isn't like balled up into a cylinder where it doesn't fit in the pack as nicely. Now, if my pack wasn't waterproof or water resistant, I might put some other things in that compactor bag that I don't want getting wet, like my clothes. You know, you could do electronics, things like that. Then I roll the compactor bag down, stuff it down in there really good, and then on top of that I put my sleeping pad. Then I shove my tent down inside on top of that. Now, on the PCT I kept my tent loose, so again it would maximize the space like my sleeping bag, but I ended up with some little tiny pinholes in the material of my tent, so I don't know if that's because it wasn't protected in a stuff sack, or maybe because I was cowboy camping on it. Regardless, I'm not going to do that anymore, but on the PCT, that's what I did. So you'll notice with my sleeping bag, my sleeping pad, and my tent, they kind of go in reverse order. So when I'm pulling all of this stuff out of my pack, everything else is stuff that I can sit down on the ground and it's not going to hurt it to get wet because it's not in that compactor bag, so I probably have some way to waterproof it if it needs to be waterproofed, whether that's a stuff sack or a Ziploc bag. So I set that stuff aside, put up my tent, and then I like to blow up my sleeping pad, put it in my tent, and then pull out my sleeping bag. So I don't want my sleeping bag anywhere near anything until my tent is up and I'm ready to throw my sleeping bag in. That way, if it's raining, then my tent is already up before I ever have to pull my sleeping bag out of my pack. Next, I put my clothes in my pack. Now, I keep mine in a stuff sack because I use it dual purpose for, you know, keeping my clothes dry because it's a waterproof stuff sack, but also I have a stuff sack to kind of put some clothes in to use as a pillow to sleep on at night if I choose to have one. If I wanted to maximize space or get rid of the little bit of weight of that stuff sack, then I could throw my clothes down in the sleeping bag like I mentioned before. Now, my clothes don't take up that whole area in the pack, you know, from back to front. So there is a little space between my clothes bag and the other side of the pack. So in that space, I stuff my toiletries and my electronics, which both I keep in 2 separate Ziploc bags. Then my food pot goes in, which if I have a small fuel canister, has the fuel can, my cup, a bandana, and my stove. And usually I go ahead and put the lighter in there too. And if I have a larger fuel canister, then I just put it beside the food pot, but all of that also goes in between the clothes bag and, you know, the other side of the pack. And finally, on the very top, I put my food bag. The main reason I carry my food bag on the top is because I like to snack a lot. So I could put all the snacks in the world, you know, on the outside of my pack, and I'm probably still gonna wanna get in my food bag. And then also I like to cook a lot. So most of the time I'm gonna cook my lunch, and if I don't, I'm probably at least gonna heat up some water for some coffee somewhere in the middle of the day. So I like to have my food bag and my pot and, you know, those things easily accessible. And in the instances where I had to carry a bear can, it just went strapped right on top. Now, when I first started the PCT, I actually had a water bladder with the hydration tube and everything that I would have put right on top of my food bag. But I ended up transitioning to the Sawyer squeeze instead of the gravity platypus. So then I just carried smart water bottles in my side pockets and screwed the Sawyer squeeze filter just on top of the water bottles. So that's where I kept my water for most of the trip, just in the side pockets. Also in the side pockets, depending on, you know, whether I was in the desert or in the Sierra Nevada, I had my umbrella or my ice axe in the side pockets. Now I know certain packs have little loops and things that you can use to put, you know, your ice axe in, but this is just where I like to carry mine, so, you know, to each his own. In the big mesh pocket of my pack, I kept my rain gear because it doesn't matter if it gets wet, right? You're gonna be wearing it, and you want it somewhere easily accessible so you can throw your pack down and put it on real quick. I also kept the toiletries that I didn't keep inside the pack, so you don't wanna bury your toilet paper and wipes, because sometimes when Mother Nature calls, she means business, right? So I wanted to carry my toilet paper, feminine products, anything like that that I didn't want to have to dig forever to get to in my pack in that mesh pocket also. And then during the Sierra Nevada days, I kept my micro spikes in that pocket. And finally, that's where my camp shoes live too. In my extra little pockets or hip belt pockets, I kept things like my snacks, maybe my backup battery pack if I knew I needed to charge my phone and it didn't look like it was gonna rain. That's where I kept my moment lenses for my phone so I could easily access it to take pictures, and just any other little knickknacks that I might need during the day. All right, y'all, well that is a basic rundown of how I organized my pack on my PCT THRU-HIKE. And if y'all have any questions about why I kept things in the certain place that I did, or if you've got any tips that you've figured out work with your hiking style and you want to share those, please feel free to do so in the comments below. And I appreciate y'all watching today. And if you enjoy the work I do here and you want to support this channel, you can do so at no additional cost to you by doing your Amazon shopping through dixieaz.com. You just go there, click the link that redirects you to Amazon, and do your shopping as normal. And thank y'all so much for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.